Nerdy Sports Fan here. Week 6 NFL action, and this is going to be a pretty interesting game. We've got the Titans against the Broncos. Now, the Broncos figured out what a win was last week. Weird. And the Titans went up against a very tough Buffalo team and got beat at home. So, the Titans are a very, very tough team. Very well coached. They don't really have the best personnel. Okay, they're tough because they're well coached. They're tough because they have a handful of players that are very tough and instill that mindset in the team. They're not tough because they're immensely talented. They're not. Okay, they have a great edge rusher. They have some solid linebacking play. I don't think anybody in the country can name anybody in their secondary outside of Tennessee. I don't think anybody in the country can name, honestly, anybody on their defense. Truly. I don't mean this as an insult, Titans fans. I mean, you don't have a premier guy that everybody's going to know. Now, that's not always bad, okay? Look at the team you went up against last week in the Bills, or you look at New England. These defenses do not have a lot of name recognition talent, but they're just layered and they're deep, and the staff as a whole is better than the sum of its parts. Now, that's how I view Tennessee in general. They're a solid team. They're not a solid team because they have preeminent talent. They're a solid team because they've got a lot of pretty good talent. And, they have a solid coach. So, I think they're the stronger team here. And I'll give you a few reasons. Denver has great edge rushing talent. They have terrible up the middle talent on their defense. They don't have a linebacker that anybody knows the name of. They essentially have homeless people strapping up in the linebacking unit. They lost their opposite side edge rusher from Von Miller to injury. And the defensive secondary has Chris Harris Jr. and a bunch of bums. So that defense is not suited to go up against just a sledgehammer of a running back in Derrick Henry. They are not, okay? They might be able to stop the pass pretty well because Marcus Mariota is just not very good, but Derrick Henry is going to cause Denver nightmares, okay? Now, on the opposite side, we're talking about a unit defense that doesn't necessarily have premier talent going up against a unit kind of offense that doesn't necessarily have premier talent. Okay? Joe Flacco is the quarterback. That says it all in my mind. All right? He's a middle-of-the-pack guy. Everybody on this offense is a middle-of-the-pack guy. You could have some development from these guys if they actually get an offensive line in front of them. But right now, schmoes versus schmoes is what's going on with the Denver offense versus the Tennessee defense. It's going to be kind of boring, but I think Tennessee's got the edge simply because Denver's offensive line is terrible, and at the very least, Tennessee has one fantastic edge rusher. And they've got some solid defensive linemen that don't necessarily have premier talent and name recognition around the country. Garrett Bowles for Denver finally stopped holding people last week. Let's see if it happens 2 weeks in a row. I don't think that guy's going to get fixed. I don't. I think they found a way to fix him for a game because they game planned specifically for the people that he was going to be blocking. That's it. As long as he's in the lineup, that offensive line is going to be a tire fire. So, fantasy football-wise, start Tennessee's defense. They're going to not go off. I mean, they're probably going to get a couple of sacks, maybe a turnover. But the reason you start their defense is because Denver's not going to score on them. It's going to be very, very low scoring on the Denver side of things, and that's going to keep the point production fantasy-wise up for Tennessee's defense. I would say Derrick Henry is going to go off. He is a top 5 running back start this week. Receivers, if you're starting a Tennessee receiver, you're a Tennessee fan. Okay? None of these guys should even be thought of because Mariota is way too streaky and does not have a consistent rapport with any one receiver getting dominant targets. They don't throw the ball enough for their number one option to really get any sort of love fantasy football wise. And anybody beyond a number one option in an offense like this shouldn't be thought about in general. Let's see. Right now, Denver's 2.5-point favorites. Obviously, I think that's wrong. Okay, I would bet Tennessee. I think they're going to win. And hit me up in the other videos to see what I think fantasy football wise. Hit me up in the Nerdy Sports Fan Weekly to catch my Joker review.